We have everyone. Thank you. We have everyone on the call. Over to you, our Sergeant at Arms. Let's begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kajal, your Sergeant at Arms, and today's meeting, flight attendant speaking. As you know, every meeting has a theme. So our today's theme is Welcome to Abroad, flight number 242. In behalf of whole speakers den and entire crew, I would like to welcome to all of you at our abroad flight number 242. The our flight time will be 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. of 2 hours. This journey will help you to boost your self-confidence and personal growth. And along with that, it will give you euphoria peace at the end of the day. Before taking off, I would request your full attention as I would be demonstrating the key features of this aircraft. Please mute yourself if you are not speaking. Please turn on your video throughout the meeting as we are connecting virtually, so it's good to know everyone by face. I would request, you can certainly talk about religion, sex, and politics because it's good to make your speech effective. But I would request, please remember your words and the way you are portrayed should not hurt anyone's sentiments. There is one emergency button, is sleep button in red color, right towards the zoom. And your oxygen and air pressure will always be monitored. With that, before as we are preparing to take off, I will request, please fasten your seat belt. Now, with that, I would take forward to our chief flight attendant and our today's presiding officer, to the one who wanderer by heart and amateur poet, Toastmaster Sneha. Over to you, Toastmaster Sneha.
Thank you so much, Sergeant at Arms Kajal. What a bang-on introduction with so much energy. May I request all of you to please give a huge round of applause, either by switching on your camera and virtually clapping, or use the Zoom feature clap emoticon. And this should remain for throughout the session. Please do show your support and encouragement. Well, good morning, my dear Toastmasters and guests who have gathered here today. We have a small surprise in store, which is by our president, Toastmaster Shanko, and hence, as a VPN, I would be taking over and presiding today's session. Since this is a Toastmaster session, let us understand what Toastmasters is all about and its history. Toastmasters International is the brainchild of Ralph C. Smedley. It all started as a series of speaking clubs, and the first official meeting of Toastmasters was held on October 22, 1924. It's been about 97 years, almost a century, and yet we all are still building and enhancing our communication and leadership skills. Isn't this is what's called as creating an impact that lasts long? Also, speaking about our own clubs, Speakers Den was started as a community club 9 years back, and we are one of the most oldest clubs in Bangalore, with 30 plus members who engage actively to bring forth a session that is informative and engaging every Sunday from 10:45 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're also extremely proud and humbled of the fact that our club is now recognized as the President's Distinguished Club. Every Toastmaster session needs someone as a beacon of light to guide and show the direction. And that role is portrayed by the Toastmaster of the day. Our Toastmaster of the day is our president, Toastmaster Shanko, who professionally is a management consultant and passionately a part-time theater artist. He is also part of improv comedy clubs and has given out multiple shows across Bangalore. He also runs a beautiful page on Facebook called Cafe Stories, where he collects all his experiences and weaves them into beautiful stories. Without further ado, let us all welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Shanko, with a huge round of applause. Over to you.
Good morning, Toastmasters and guests. This is your captain speaking. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone on Speakers Den special flight number 242. The special 242 represents our meeting number. We are going to take off now. Please fasten your seatbelt as advised by our flight attendants. As this is a special flight, we need to add fuel during the course of the journey. The price of fuel has already crossed the sky and is reaching towards the space, but don't worry, we will not go that. Our fuel is free and you can add it by switching on your video and clap after any speaker or role taker speak as their role, or use the virtual clapping option in the Zoom. For the flight safety purpose, may I request all to demonstrate how you clap? Let's add lots of fuel and energy. Well, we are currently cruising at an altitude of 33,000 feet at an airspeed of 400 miles per hour. The time is 11:07. The weather looks good, and with the 12 wind on our side, we are expecting to land in our final destination by 1 p.m. We are going to take you on a tour to 4 different places. Our first destination is the Land of Knowledge Hub, which is divided into part 1 and part 2, where we have 2 amazing speakers whom I have a very high regard, and I consider them as the gurus of Toastmasters for their in-depth knowledge as public speakers. They are going to take us to the tour of an interesting journey in Toastmasters. And if you are thinking where to get a different perspective of Toastmasters journey, ladies and gentlemen, then it starts right here. Our second destination would be in a beautiful island, which is popularly known as the Land of Speaking. We have an awesome speaker who will deliver his prepared speech. The third destination is the City of Impromptu and is formally referred to as the Table Topics. This will be conducted by a very creative and enthusiastic Toastmasters. However, there is a rule of law in effect to this city. When you land here, you always need to be on your toes. The fourth destination, or we'll come back again to the Knowledge Hub Part 2, where we have this another awesome Toastmaster guru who is going to talk about the evaluation. And finally, we would land in our fifth on the final destination. A popular place is known as the Land of Evaluation, where we have a wonderful team of evaluations and tag team waiting to evaluate this journey. Now, before landing to the next destination, let me call upon our flight instructor of the day, or the General Evaluator, who is going to give us feedback at the end of this session. Telecom engineer, presently working in her family business, a passionate Toastmasters for the last 1.5 years, and reached the divisional level in Toastmasters for speech evaluation. A round of applause for Toastmasters Sonal as the General Evaluator of the day.
Thank you, Mr. TM. As the General Evaluator, I will be evaluating the entire meeting, right from the word go to the very end of the meeting. And today, to assist me in my role, we have the tag team. And as the timer, we have Toastmaster Ganesh. Toastmaster Ganesh is a Sergeant at Arms of Travel Orators Toastmaster Club and also the Associate VP Education. He's an introvert and enjoys long drives with family. He's an ardent music lover, enjoys trying out new things to be and cooking while and also playing a musical instrument. Toastmaster Ganesh, could you please unmute yourself and explain your role to us?
Thank you, General Evaluator. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Happy Sunday morning, my dear fellow Toastmasters and guests. As timer, I will time the table topic speakers and formal speeches and the evaluations. I will also alert each speaker for the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red cards. I would like to check that you're able to see my change in the cards. So green, yellow like this, and red. Hope you were able to see the changes. Thank you. So I think we have today the education session speaker. I have the timing given by Sankhya already, 20 minutes green and 25 minutes yellow and 30 minutes red. And for prepared speech, I think one more session prepared speech by Ashwin, we have 15 minutes green, 17 minutes yellow and 20 minutes red. If there was any other prepared speech, I will take it as per the speech evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ganesh. And now at the hour counter, we have Toastmaster Lavanya. Toastmaster Lavanya is a third-year computer science engineering student who loves to read. Toastmaster Lavanya, could you please explain your role to us?
Hello, everybody. I am the hour counter in today's meeting. The role of an hour counter in any Toastmaster meeting is to listen carefully to all the speakers or anybody who speaks at the meeting and to take note of what we call CRPF. And CRPF stands for crutch words, which are when you don't know what you're saying, you try to use therefore, well, but, so, and other words like this. R stands for repetitive words where you've lost your train of thought and you go and you start repeating the last few words from your sentence. P stands for pauses, which are unnatural in the speech, again due to loss of train of thought. F stands for filler words, where instead of pausing, you tend to replace it with filler words like or. Try to avoid using these as much as possible in your speeches today. A tip would be to pause, collect your thoughts back, and continue, because pauses at the end of sentences add to your speech instead of being counted as unnatural pauses. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lavanya. And as the grammarian for today, we have Toastmaster Kajal. Toastmaster Kajal is an engineer by profession. She is fond of dance, music, and loves to play chess. Toastmaster Lavanya, Toastmaster Kajal, could you please explain your role to us?
Good morning, everyone. I'm your grammarian today. As a grammarian, it's my duty to listen carefully to all the speakers and closely pay attention to all the speakers and closely looking their languages uses as well as their outstanding uses. And I will note the words, any misuse of the English languages and grammatical words. And as a grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. Today's meeting word is euphoria. The meaning, the intense excitement and happiness. Is example, if I'll say, I'm feeling euphoria to be a part of this beautiful Speakers Gen Toastmaster Club. I will encourage to all of the speakers, please use the word of the day, and I'll be encouraged by giving thumbs up and smileys. With this, I will hand over to our General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kajal. And now that I have explained my role and our assignees, I will pass the power of the lectern back to the TM model, Toastmaster Sankhya.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sonal. Let's give a round of applause for Toastmaster Sonal and the lovely team of the tag team. Well, the weather looks good with a clear sky as we land to our first destination, the Knowledge Hub. Yesterday was Guru Purnima, and that's our respect for the gurus. And we have the first guru of the day, who is a coach and a mentor to many Toastmasters. Toastmaster, he is a president and the club sponsor of the only new chartered president's distinguished club of D92, the Gabby's Toastmasters. And beyond Toastmaster, he is a leader, a teacher, a coach, a trainer, a visiting faculty at many institutes, an entrepreneur, and the founder of Practive, a professional international keynote speaker, logophile, polymath, biker, master chef at home, kitchen, but most importantly, he is an incredibly proud father of a 6-year-old warrior princess. Let's welcome Toastmaster Sourav. So Toastmaster Sourav will be conducting the education session on Toastmasters meeting roles, how, why, what.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shankar. So, first of all, let me tell you one thing. We don't have a PPT today. Okay, so if you were planning to kind of sit back and watch a PPT on the screen, so I'm sorry, I'm going to disappoint you. So this is going to be more of a discussion, and I would be sharing a few things here and there, which will be more like Excel sheets and this and that. The reason I'm not going to share that is I'm going to first share with you a very wonderful resource that is already there on the Toastmasters website. I think many of you would have gone through it. People who have not gone through it, you can go through this at your own leisure, which has all the details of the roles that you need to go through. That you can play in a Toastmasters meeting. So what is this session about? If it is all there on the website, why are we doing a session separately on this? What is the requirement of doing it? The requirement is that those are certain guidelines, certain advisories. How we execute those in a Toastmasters meeting when we are playing various roles, that keeps on changing. And there we can bring in innovation, we can bring in certain practices, and most importantly, while playing roles in various clubs and while attending various club meetings, I have observed certain things which I wanted to share with you. By no means I'm an expert in this subject. There are Toastmasters here who have been Toastmasters for triple or 5 times more duration than I have been. But yes, what I have been is in the last 1 year of being a Toastmaster, less than 1 year, I have been an avid learner and I have attended meetings across the globe in various clubs, in various countries, more than 50 countries, if I'm not wrong. That has given me an exposure to how meetings are run in various countries and certain strengths that I've seen in certain countries. For example, Singapore, they have got very beautiful way of doing the language evaluation. What we call a grammarian here, they call it a language evaluator. They have a very beautiful way of doing the language evaluation. When you have a small set of people coming into a club meeting, we generally feel that the meeting is very scattered, not much excitement and all that. Thailand has got a very beautiful practice for that. They have someone called a round robin master. So if you're doing a meeting with even 7 or 8 people, the round robin master would come in and tell everyone in the meeting, everyone, to say 30 seconds something, and they would give a theme. The same theme for everyone. Think of it as a very simplified, shorter version of table topics. Such interesting additions to meetings are there all across the globe. Again, there are certain, like for example, Middle East. I have seen they have got a very strong understanding of parliamentary procedures. So if you want to know how a general evaluation role should be done, I would strongly recommend that you attend meetings in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Dubai, and so on. If you want to develop your abilities as a grammarian, then I would strongly recommend you attend meetings at Singapore clubs. If you want to develop your ability of say a Toastmaster of the day, I think some of the older clubs that we have, and particularly these are there in US and Europe, those are great places for you to go and learn how to be a perfect Toastmaster of the day. The point here is that there's a whole university out there. Your club is just a classroom. When you are deciding to stick yourself to a particular classroom, you're depriving yourself from the benefits that Toastmasters has to offer. Think of it this way, guys. You could have got 10 friends together, paid zero money to anyone, and did all of this what you're doing right now. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Right? The thing is that you have signed up for a global organization because you are expecting multiplicative benefits. And then you're sticking yourself in a particular club. So once this pandemic gets over, then attending a meeting at an US club is going to be very, very difficult unless you're ready to fly down every week. So while the pandemic is there, while the restrictions is there, it is a good idea for you to please travel, understand how the meetings happen. And what I'm going to share with you now is more of an understanding based on that. So what I'm going to use as a kind of a foundation for our discussion today is the general evaluation document. Now this is something which I picked up from one of the meetings in Middle East. And what I liked about this particular document is a very comprehensive evaluation of the entire meeting. So the general evaluator says, my job is to evaluate the meeting from the start of the meeting till the end of the meeting. And in most cases, what we end up doing is we have our own pet peeves. Certain general evaluators like to pick up on the T-mod, certain general evaluators favorites are the evaluators, certain general evaluators end up evaluating the speaker one more time after the evaluator has done the evaluation, right? So we have our own favorites for doing this, the pet peeves. So this sheet makes you capable of avoiding those pet peeves. Now this color coding and all, don't go too much into it. That's not so important. I mean, you can have your own color coding. I put green, yellow, whatever it is. You can put red and blue if that suits your eyes better. The idea here is for these parameters to have a look at, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at each role, and then we're going to understand what are some of the things that we do good and what are some of the things we could have done slightly better. What I'm also going to do is, even before I start this discussion, is why should you be playing these roles? what do these roles have to offer? So let me start with this meeting. What does the essay has to offer? Why do you pick up an essay role? What do you get out of it? Who's the essay today? Who's the essay?
Sorry.
Toastmaster Kajal.
Toastmaster.
Yeah, I'm present.
Yeah, so why did you pick
Sorry.
up this role? What's in it for you?
Because like I want the start of the meeting with energy, and I want I want to be the co-host of the meeting as a starting point. Yes.
I'll tell you why this role is exciting.
Okay.
This role is exciting because in any conversation, in any discussion, in any forum, the most important and the most difficult thing is to get started. After that, it's easy. Do you agree with me? Even if
Yes.
you're going on a date, who's going to have the first conversation, right? That's the most
Yeah.
difficult thing. So every time you're starting a meeting, you are learning how to start it, how to start a conversation. That's the reason you should be playing the essay role and you're learning something from the essay role. Let's come to the presiding officer. Why did you pick up this role, Sneha?
The very honest answer is it's part of my duty as a VP to fill in the place for the president. However, the couple of times that I have done, it allows me to engage people to get them into the mood, and the flow of the meeting can be really well regulated.
Let me give you another perspective. As you are, I'm assuming you're a student or maybe you've just started working. As you are going to grow up in your career, one of the things that you would be doing is setting tone for an organization, right? A vision, a mission, giving a direction to an initiative. Every time you're donning the presiding officer hat, you are teaching yourself how to give a direction to an initiative which has got multiple players from multiple backgrounds with multiple expectations. No two people in this meeting has walked in today with the same set of expectations. Some came in because they had nothing to do on a Sunday morning. Some came in because they thought that there could be something they can gain from the education session. Some had a pathway speech to complete. Some had something, but no two people walked in with the same expectations. And you, as the presiding officer, you are setting the tone for an initiative which has got multiple players in it. So that is your incentive for picking up the role. Let me come to the Toastmaster of the day. What is your incentive, Shankhu, for picking up this role? Why did you pick up this role? What's in it for you?
Well, as a Toastmaster of the day, it gives me a lot of creativity, to come out with the interesting ideas which can bring a lot of energy in the meeting, and how we can run the entire meeting. So that's my thought behind Timon.
Great. How many of you agree that the teammate is the most important person in the meeting? Anyone else? All of us are wrong. The teammate is not the most important person in the meeting. The teammate is just a facilitator. Every teammate who comes in with this halo around his head and think they can walk on water because they're the Toastmaster of the day and they are the star of the night, the showstopper, the Kangana Ranawat in a Toastmasters meeting, they actually hijack the entire meeting and spoil it. They just butcher the meeting. Because the entire time, their entire focus is, how do I hog the limelight? Right? So they would give a 30 seconds introduction of the General Evaluator, and then they would spend 1 minute talking about themselves. I have done this, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this. I understand you need to set the theme. You set the theme, continue the theme. The theme, you have to think of it as a string that connects the flower. You can never pluck off the flowers and then worship with the string. Right? And that's the role of a Toastmaster of the day. So what we learn as a Toastmaster of the day is project management. Project management without us being obsessed with our own success, with our own glory. That's the biggest mistake a project manager does. I mean, many of you are project managers or would-be project managers. If you think of it, reflect back. Most project managers make this mistake. They're always busy taking credits. As a Toastmaster of the day, you learn how to give credits and empower people to do their role the best. You celebrate others' success. You introduce people. Please welcome with a huge round of applause the General Evaluator of today, Toastmaster Sonal. And when Toastmaster Sonal comes in, she's like, oh my God, I'm going to kill it today. Right? So that is your job. Right? So this is what we learn. So I'm not going to go into each of these roles and explain, but what I'm trying to say is that every role has a purpose and a learning. What are some of the most unattractive roles in a Toastmasters meeting? Yes, Sonal?
Our counter, in my opinion.
R counter, okay.
Tag.
And one more? No one's favorite? No. The AC of the meeting, when it's off, everyone starts sweating. When it's on, no one notices it's there. The timer.
Yeah,
The timer. See, as long as the timer is online and he's showing the green, blue, and green, yellow, and red card, we are all like, we don't even care if he exists. How does he look? Many people say, why is the timer blocking the screen? He should keep the camera off and just show the background. As if he did not pay for the Toastmasters membership. And that poor guy doesn't even have a right to show his face. Right? Now imagine Ganesh goes offline for 30 seconds. Immediately Shankho will go off video and like, Ganesh, where are you? Ganesh, please come back. 30 seconds back, you were treating that guy like dirt. You were not even acknowledging his presence. How many times have you seen a timer win the best tag team award? How many times? You have to think.
Really?
Very. Because we consider that as, it's okay, yaar. Timer hai. What's the big deal? But this is where we need to understand, what does a timer get out of this meeting? Listening skills. And I pick up timer roles when I visit meetings in outside clubs. The reason is, many clubs do not let you be a table topic speaker if you're already a role player. But they have a little bit of sympathy for the timer. So they spare the poor guy. So one of my incentives for visiting an outside club is to participate in the table topics. So if I'm picking up a role of an evaluator or a Toastmaster of the day or a general evaluator, if I raise hands, some of the kids have actually snubbed me. Come on, you're not done with your speaking yet, is it? You're never tired of speaking. You speak so much, right? But when I'm a timer, I can't speak. So I have all the sympathies in the world. So try taking a timer role in meetings outside your club, because that's almost a guaranteed this thing that if you raise your hand, you will be picked up for a table topic. If you love participating in table topics. The R-counter grammarian, very good opportunities for you to be a listener and stay focused on listening. Do we realize one thing, that an R-counter and grammarian has to be very, very selective in their listening. See, one is listening or hearing. Second is listening. Then is active listening. And then it is purposeful listening. What they are learning is purposeful listening. They're only listening to those aspects of it and retaining those aspects of it which they are focused on. So I am making up, like for example, the R counter today, right? I mean, poor guy, he's or she, R counter and grammarian, both of them. They are listening to an education session and they're supposed to focus on my R and grammarian usages. I mean, can you imagine what kind of a torture it is? Like, you call them for 30 minutes education session where they're supposed to listen to all the things good and bad about roles, and you tell them, no, you're not supposed to listen to the roles. You're only going to pay attention to how many times Sourav says and all that. Right? It's worse than a Nazi camp. But that's what teaches you. It teaches you how to purposefully listen. Because that is a very important skill. So Toastmasters, my point here today is that you have to be very, very clear. Why are you picking up certain roles? And what are you getting out of it? And trust me, every single role in Toastmasters teaches you something which nothing else can teach you in such a quick time and so effectively. Absolutely, you can do a crash course on active listening. But I really don't understand how would you learn active listening by watching a video? Right? I mean, this is important that you practice active listening. See, how many of us have actually learned swimming by sitting by the swimming pool? None of us. For learning swimming, you have to go into the pool. So for active listening, you have to start listening, as simple as that. For being a good speaker, you have to start speaking, and that's all we signed up for Toastmasters. So that is one very important thing. Now let's change gears a little bit and go into a little bit of tools and tactics. So I talked about the what and the why. Now let me talk a little bit about the how part. And this is where I was sharing my screen. This screen looks scary, but don't get scared. It's a very useful screen. Okay, it's a very useful sheet. What it does basically, it does an entire evaluation. I will be sharing the screen, this sheet with you. So this is for one particular club. I've removed that club's name because it does not look right. So what are the things that have happened pre-meeting? What all the introductions there? And as a general evaluator, if someone is doing a general evaluator role, it is important for that person to even check the website and the social media page of the club. How many of us do that? None of us. When I had DTM Deepak Menon joined us as a general evaluator, he actually called up all the evaluators, all the tag team players, spoke to them personally, checked our club website, checked our club Facebook page, and his evaluation covered all of it. So when you say that I would be watching this meeting from before this meeting until the end of the meeting, I should actually mean it. It's just not because it's there in the script. I will not be watching the meeting any which ways, but it's there in the script, so I'm just reading it out for you. Right? So I think that is where we have a trouble. And I'm sorry, Sonal, please don't take it personally. None of the role takers, please don't take it personally. This is a general observation. Every one of us do that. Every one of us. So I'm at the risk of getting beaten up today by many of you guys. I'm kind of signed up for it consciously. Okay, so these are some of the things that you need to look at, the agenda that you need to look at. So these are some of the parameters. Now, let me come to one very important thing, the essay. How many of you guys in your club meetings as an essay, you say this, that, as per Toastmaster guidelines, sex, religion, and politics, we should not be talking about? How many of you do that? Right? Now, you can be very sensitive about sex, religion, and politics. There's to each his own. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem though with the fact that you're putting the gun on Toastmaster's shoulders and trying to fire it. Toastmaster never says that you cannot have discussions around sex, religion, and politics. And I'm going to share a link with you now. Please go through this link, and anyone playing that essay role should know this, that Toastmasters very clearly mentions that you can talk about sex, religion, and politics. In fact, in US, there are many faith clubs. I've attended a meeting of such a club. These are church-based clubs. The discussion is entirely about religion. They would go out of business. I mean, not out of business. We're a non-profit, sorry. They would go out of action if we say sex, religion, and politics is not allowed. There are many LGBTQI clubs where topics around sexual orientation are acceptable topics. Obviously, we're not going to discuss erotica and porn in a Toastmasters meeting. That's a given. But that is sensitivity. That is not something for which we have to put the gun on Toastmaster's shoulder. So that is one point that I wanted to mention about the how part, where we make a mistake frequently, and many seasoned general evaluators would point it out that it is not allowed. TMOD, I already talked about that. The TMOD is someone who has to pass the baton. The TMOD should not be obsessed with the fact that I am the star of the show. I am going to hog all the limelight. Now let's come to the speaker and the evaluator. I know Ashwin is going to talk about the evaluation, so I'm not going to talk much about it. But one thing that I would definitely want to mention here is that every evaluator should avoid one thing and should try one thing. Avoid doing a summary of the speech. This is one problem that we have. Out of the 3 minutes or the 2 minutes that we have, 1.5 minutes we say, our speaker made a wonderful speech on this topic. He talked about this, he talked about this, he talked about... We were there when he was talking. Why are you summing it up again for us? You can do a quick 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds of summary just to set the context or the perspective. But then after that, you're supposed to give a feedback. You're not supposed to tell him what he told you. So that is something which is one very important thing that we should avoid doing. And one thing that we should try doing is give every speaker a moment of epiphany. We always say that evaluate to elevate. And some people take this very, very seriously. You listen to their evaluation, you have a high chance of having diabetes. It's so sweet. Like they would say, Everything about your speech was wonderful. You were nice. Your tone was nice. You looked like a dream, sounded like a melody. Oh my God, I'm just drooling and gushing and blushing after your speech. What benefit did you do to the speaker? Nothing. So your evaluation should be a moment of epiphany for the speaker. So epiphany means it should be a moment of aha. Okay. Yeah. Right? I mean, that is what we are looking for. Now, coming to the table topic master, one of the most important things for a table topic master to keep in mind is the table topic master has to be flexible. There are certain clubs where you're a TTM and you say, who wants to speak? 5 hands go up. My home club is one such club. Like there's almost like a tug of war going on who wants to speak. You have to play kabaddi at times online to trip someone and say, no, I want to speak. It's always like the club officers fighting with the members, the guests, everyone wants to speak. And there are certain club meetings where you almost have to unmute people, bring them on camera, push them, box them, kick them, and still they would not open their mouth. If you push too hard, they will leave the meeting and go. So the TTM has to adapt accordingly. The TTM's role is has to be a very flexible role. If you see the audience is very participative, you cannot call everyone in the audience. Right? You have to be mindful of time. You cannot say, I know we have overshot time, but then everyone wanted to speak. That is your problem. I'm sorry. Your agenda said that you have to do it within 20 minutes. Everyone wanted to speak. No one wanted to speak. That is something that you have to manage. You are called a master for a reason. Right? The second is, in some places, you have to give the topic first because you see people are just not speaking up. So maybe if you give the topic first, they would be able to speak up. In some places, you may have to hold back on the topic because you see these are all pro speakers. If you give the topic like 10 seconds extra time you give them, they can write a whole story. 20 seconds they can spin out a Mahabharata, and 30 seconds they can do a Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi serial. So the thing is that how do you tackle with a crowd will depend on the kind of crowd that you have. So that is where the table topic master has to be very, very mindful. One thing, a big no-no, I would say, is that in many cases I have noticed the table topic master himself becoming a table topic speaker. How does that happen? He does not dish out a topic. He dishes out a speech. Like for example, my next topic is, what are the challenges that India is facing on account of Corona? Now that we have been undergoing COVID for the last 2 years, there is so much of problem that we are facing in life. There is a large queue of vaccination. So many people have not got vaccinated. We are waiting for Covaxin. We are waiting for Covishield. We are waiting for Sputnik. So what is your thought on this? Thought on what? You told me the entire speech. What do you want me to talk about now? Anything that I have wanted to tell, you have already told. We have heard this. It has happened with all of us. We have to remember that a topic is a topic, and a topic is a topic when it is less than 10 words or 20 words. If it is more than that, you are making a speech yourself. So you may as well call yourself a table topic speaker, not a table topic master. So a table topic speaker or table topic master has to keep it very short as a topic. And if you know the audience, it's always a good idea to change the topic depending on the level of the speaker. For example, if you're a homegrown table topic master, if you're a TTM who is from the same club, and you know that Ganesh is a profound speaker and Sourav has just got started, so you have to give a tougher topic to Ganesh and an easier topic to Sourav, so as to ensure that Sourav does not get embarrassed and Ganesh does not, get bloated too much. Right? So keep both under checks. Right? So that is about the table topic master. These are a couple of things that I wanted to share about the TTM. Now let's move on to the R counter. The R counter is a role where, the timer. How did I forget the timer? See, again, I did that. So the timer. One quick tip I will give you to make the timer role very interesting. And probably that would even get you a best tag team award. You may try your luck, Ganesh. Not today, maybe some other day. Is put the word of the day on your timer screen. Then at least you will get the grammarian's vote. Unless the grammarian is a narcissist and votes himself. Right? So put the word of the day on your timer screen. Because, see, none of us have a choice to not look at your screen. right? So then when I look at your screen and I see the word of the day there, it would always remind me that I need to include that in my speech, whatever I'm speaking. So that moment of euphoria that it would create for the grammarian would definitely try to earn you the grammarian's vote. So that is one tip that I would want to share for the timer. Now let's come to the R counter. Okay, I don't think I need to share that. I will send this sheet to you after this is over. The R counter, it is very important for you to watch the first few words of the table topic speaker. That is your price catch. That is where you find most of the R and the crutch words coming up. Like whenever you give a topic, no, you say, today India is COVID free. I don't know why I'm obsessed with COVID today, but anyways, today India is COVID free. Right, there is a topic. So I start speaking. Thank you, Toastmaster. Right. So as always, if you notice, the table topic speaker would start with a crutch word. 90% of them observed from today's words. Next, let's come to the grammarian. Give me 1 second. I will be sharing one more screen. So this is the grammarian report that I create. So what this report does is it does not only look at, so what we typically do in grammarian reports is that we always start off like we feel that we are the grammar police. We are actually not the grammar police, okay? And no one is paying us to catch the number of people who are going wrong on grammar. We are here to appreciate people for their good usage of English and point out some of the incorrect uses so that they are even better the next time they are speaking. So the elevation thing does not go away when you wear the grammarian hat. It still stays. So don't take so much of pride in saying that the number of incorrect uses that I found today. Some of the grammarians start off saying that today I had a field day. Why? Because people were making mistakes. Come on. That is sadistic at a different level. Like, you are sick, man. How can you have a field day because someone is making mistakes? So incorrect usage should always come last in your grammarian report. You should never start off saying that, this was a pathetic meeting, all of you made mistakes. Start with some of the good usages like rhetorical devices. Rhetorical devices are things like figures of speech, metaphors, similes, analogues, rule of three, anaphoras, hypophoras. So there's a whole list of things here. I would be sharing the screen. You can go through this later. So these are the rhetorical devices which you can look at. Then you look at all the good usages of English phrase. Then you talk about the word of the day usage, and finally the incorrect usage. So these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind as a grammarian. So these are some of the major roles and how you should be playing those roles. What are some of the pitfalls that we have? Some of the things we can do better, and so that's pretty much. I would be sharing the screen with you, the sheets with you, and some of the links I've already shared. And if there are any questions, you can always reach out to me. So thank you. Or if you, I think, do we have time for a couple of questions? We can take that. Otherwise,
yes, yeah, we can.
Okay. Yes. Who has the first question? No one has a question.
I have a question.
Yes, please. Thank you. Save me.
A great thing you have told about everything, about every roles and all. So, and this is, I'm very new to Toastmasters as well. So I have been hearing about the evaluator role, and I just want to know, like, on what specific basis do you think it will be more impactful for you to evaluate any person so that it will impact in coming days, it will make your speeches also very effective?
So I would not steal Ashwin's thunder. This is coming up in the next session. Ashwin was looking at me very nervously.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
My session. उसमें मैं क्या बोलूँगा फिर? No, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. He's going to answer that question. One of the things that I can say though is that this I will say, and this is not for specifically for evaluators or speakers. We have a very big myth. No VP, no evaluator, no president can give a redo to any member. Toastmasters very clearly mentions this. This entire thing about redos is something that we have created in our own minds. The website very clearly calls out it's a self-paced learning, which means that you decide whether you have done this properly. And evaluation is a feedback. You take the feedback. What you do with the feedback, it's your problem. The evaluator is within his rights to say you should redo this speech. But it is not mandatory on you to redo the speech. And no VP education can say that you have to redo the speech. You now there are certain people who there was a post on this on Facebook also in one of the Toastmasters International group. One very senior Toastmaster, George Marshall, he made a post on that. So some people said that, so what if someone reads the same speech from level 1 to level 5? Someone can just make a misuse of this loophole and say that, okay, if I made the speech, you have to approve it. There is no way you can't approve it. Then it does not become a quality issue. Then it becomes an integrity issue. Then the club can definitely take an action. Kick him out of Toastmasters if need be, and definitely out of the club. So the point here is that take the evaluation as a feedback, and every feedback is a gift. Now, what you do with the gift, whether you use it, whether you give it to someone else, whether you give it forward, that's your problem. Rest Ashwin will take.
Makes sense.
Okay, I think we are good on time. We are done on time. So I'll thank you so much. And if any questions, please do let me know. I'll put my number also on the chat box. Please feel free to ping me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Saurav. Let's give a round of applause for such a beautiful and awesome session. This is the first time I have been in Toastmaster. I have been in Toastmaster for the last 3 years, and this is one of the brilliant sessions, I would say. There are a lot of learnings which Toastmaster Saurav brings to the table, and I am very keen on learning as well. So it's a great deal for me as well. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Saurav. And with that, now let me move on. And so I see that the climate is, the weather outside is pretty sunny. And we are going to now take over to our next destination. Well, for our next destination, we are going to the land of speech. And we have one awesome speaker who is an engineer by profession, working in TCS, a hunger of learning and exploring, dream big, never satisfy with less is the motto. Uh, that's Toastmaster by Vav. Before I call upon Toastmaster by Vav, may I request the evaluator, Toastmaster Nidhi, to speak about the speech objectives. Toastmaster Nidhi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shankar. The purpose of this project is for the speaker to present a speech. Sorry.
Did Nidhi just drop off the meeting?
Seems like I'm just checking. Yes.
Yes, she has given me that she has a power cut at her place. So we just give 1 minute time for her to join back.
Yeah.
Which role?
Yeah, she is joining. I saw her. She's joined back. Just a couple more seconds and she should be good to go.
Well, Toastmaster Nidhi got a power cut and she's joining back using her mobile device. Uh, so in case anyone wants to connect with Saurav, Saurav has given his number over there. It's 997-201-0011. That you can connect with Saurav for that. And that's what happened during the, when we fly as a pilot, sometimes we face certain, when the clouds are there, so there will be some disturbance during the flight, but we also have to stay strong. And by that time, we come back, and so that's how the flight captain usually does it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm
Well,
sorry for the inconvenience. The
no
flight had
issue.
some technical issues, I guess.
Yeah.
So yes, the purpose of the speech is for the member to present his speech, analyze it, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a technique. And the purpose of the speech is for the member to demonstrate that he or she has applied the feedback received from his or her previous speech, first speech. Thank you. Over to you, Shanki.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nidhi. Toastmaster Vaibhav, can you do an audio video check, please?
Yeah, am I clearly audible and visible?
Yes. Toastmaster Nidhi, is the audio video clear with you?
Yes.
Perfect. Toastmaster Vaibhav, yes.
Yes. Instead of spotlighting me, can you please pin the timer? Actually, join through mobile device or timer. You can put the time in chat window.
We will do both. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will spotlight the timing timer as well when the green light would be there. Would that be fine?
Sure.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's 5 to 7 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Toastmaster Vaibhav, your speech title, Things Take Time. Things Take Time, Toastmaster Vaibhav.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Do you remember your school days when you were studying in class 10th? Let me take you to the time when I was studying in 10th class. I was preparing for my 10th boards and my sister was preparing for entrance exam for chartered accountant. Also, my dad was preparing to establish a new business. When it came to academics, me and my elder sister never failed to make our parents feel proud. My parents always trusted on our abilities that one day we're going to do something big. They used to say, "You are the only our properties and we want nothing else." My dad was doing the business of grains that time. And since past 2-3 years, due to unfavorable weather conditions, the crops of farmers were completely destroyed. And my dad's business was completely dependent on my farmers. He had a tough time in his business and suffered financial losses. He went into debt. Now he had to stop his current business and start a new business for a better prospects. He used to be very anxious. He was worried about our education. My mom used to tell him, "Dear, when you started your previous business, it had taken many years to build it. So as an experienced businessman, how can you expect that it will work in starting itself?" On the one hand, I noticed my dad was struggled to establish a business. And on the other hand, I noticed my sister was struggling to get through her entrance exam. After failing in the first attempt, she was in a doubt. She can make it or not. My mom used to tell her, "Be patient, as great things take time." Now he prepared better, and after giving the next attempt, she cleared the exam. After that, she went for the articleship under an experienced chartered accountant. During that time, he befriended a fellow student and ended up being madly falling in love with him. During that time, the person was senior 2 years to him. Now, the person had cleared the chartered accountant exams and became a chartered accountant. My sister was yet to become it. When my mother got to know about them, she was not happy, as the boy was belonged to another caste. My sister wanted to marry him, as she was convinced that she had found her soulmate. But due to his mom hesitancies, she was worried. As she conveys her worries to me, I told her, be patient, as some things will take time. My sister moved heaven and earth to convince my parents. Seeing her conviction and my future brother-in-law doing good as a CA, they agreed for the marriage. Their happiness lies in their children's happiness. Now, my mother was worried, and you have sleepless nights, like what society will say and how other family members will agree, as we were living in a joint family. My dad always used to say same thing to her, as this is the first love and marriage in our family. It will take some time to be accepted by the other family members. By the time I was in my third year of engineering, my dad business was also doing good, and my sister also cleared C exams, and all the family members were agreed for the marriage, as the boy was well settled now. Is there anyone among you who have not faced the bad days? You can raise your hands. Is there anyone among you who have not faced the good days? So after seeing the response, I can see that everyone has faced some good or bad days in their life. So it's just a matter of time. If you are going through a bad days, that means you are moving towards your good days. But you may feel that you are stuck there forever. We live in a world where people expect instant results, but in reality, it takes time. You may feel impatient to get somewhere or to attain a position, but it is a process. Every step you take, it takes you towards your destination. So, if you are starting a new business or a new job, it will take some time. Or you want to clear exams, keep working hard. Your hard work will not go in vain. It will take time, but you will get through it. So when you settle in different cities or start a new job or transition from school to college also, at the starting, it will take time to get settled with them, to be a friends with others. So everything in this precedent takes time. Now talking about the previous unprecedented situations of COVID, we have faced the 1.5 month of the second wave was a nightmare for our country. But we have gone through this and we are moving towards a good days now. And hope we will meet in our offline meetings soon. Thank you. Over to your Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vaibhav. Let's give a round of applause for Toastmaster Vaibhav. Thank you. Well, as now is the time to move on to our third destination, which is the city of impromptu. And this is formally referred to as the table topics. Well, to conduct this, we have someone who is a euphoric educator, an altruistic activist, a front-row fashionista, a blogger who has acquired double MA in Hindi and English respectively, who loves baking, a rare breed of woman who's too alien for earth and too human for outer space. Now, this Toastmaster, today's table topic has a very unique thing because this will be evaluated. This is part of our project for Toastmaster Shaima, who is the table topic master. But before I call upon Toastmaster Shaima, may I call upon Toastmaster Mudassir to speak about the evaluation of Toastmaster Shaima?
Thank you, Sankhya. Toastmaster Shaima is attempting her active listening project. The purpose of this project is for the member to demonstrate his or her ability to listen to what others says. The timing for the speech, the entire table topic would be 5 to 7 minutes. Best of luck, Shaima. Over to you. Team.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mudassir. Now, with that, let me welcome Toastmaster Shaima to conduct the table topic session.
Thank you, Sankhya. Give me a good script and I will be 100 times better as a director. To make a great film, you need three things: the script, the script, and the script. A screenwriter is the heart of a movie. It is one of the first components and also one of the most essential, or if I say, essential part of the filmmaking process. Without a screenplay, you won't have a movie. Hence, the role of a screenwriter is a paramount in the process of filmmaking. And we know that our cinema is blessed with some daring, heartbreaking, haunting, and even enjoyable stories. And it is a mammoth task and very tricky thing also. Today, you will be the script writer and I will be giving the topic and you need to speak for 2 minutes and at least minimum 1 minute to qualify and you will give me 30 seconds as a grace. So, shall we start? You can include story and then you can include acting instruction, scene direction, everything. So you are the script writer. Guys, shall we start? My first topic is Night at the Museum.
Any volunteers, please raise your hand or leave your name on the chat box.
Otherwise, I will call out if you're comfortable. Verena. Viber. Please drop your name in the chat box. Come on, it is going to be an interesting.
Shama, let me help you. You can throw me the first one.
Thank you. So your topic is Night at the Museum.
A night at the museum. Okay. Reminds definitely the first moment you say this topic, I'm reminded of the movie Night at the Museum, and what not a better fantasy to live with. Imagine sitting idle, maybe becoming the guard which you've seen portrayed in the movie, and you're sitting there and all of a sudden you see everything coming alive. And pretty much, apologies if you guys wanted the realistic stuff, I really don't know how it feels to live inside a museum the night, but all my thoughts are going to come out of the movie which I watched. You saw the red Indians come alive, you saw the bronze statue suddenly starting walking, and maybe what or not, maybe the Romans and the Indians were starting to fight again, and all the Spaniards and the Indians were fighting again, and all those is going to happen right in front of you. What is the first thing that will run into your mind when you see all these happening? Panic? Aghast? Confused? Are you really seeing this for real? Maybe that is what I will just freak out. I'll just go into that panic mode. As good as I said, this could be the best fantasy thing that can happen in reality for you. You can actually go out and tell big stories and say, hey, you know what, I was in a night at a museum and so things happen. I probably even met Christopher Columbus coming and telling us what exactly happened, why exactly he thought West Indies was India and all those things. But I would go into a panic mode, probably even have a heart attack, maybe because of different other reasons. And that's the reality. Sometimes when you try to live a life of a fantasy which you could have seen or probably you would have imbibed in yourself because you saw a movie, it just doesn't have to be true. A night at a museum really spooks me off if I really try to think about it more and more. So that's my thought, Shama. Back to you.
Thank you so much. A flawless realization of your one of the brilliant script writer, if I say. Yeah, of course, you just explain about the, it just bring back to me about the real movie. I hope you all have, might have seen. And you portrayed everything very funny, and you added a little bit of horror also. Even it was accompanied with the funny things also. So kudos to you. Good effort. Anyone next? Next. Okay, next topic is
I
chef.
think we have
Yeah.
Abhay.
Yeah, Abhay, your topic is chef. You need to write a, you're a script writer. You have to just build up a story, how you make it into a movie.
Okay, so you want me to write a script to build up a movie.
Yeah.
So my story for me, chef is someone who is an artist, who is a designer, who understands the sense of seeing, tasting, and enjoying the delicacies that are served on the table. So for me, a chef as a character will have a lot of side characters in the movie. So there will be a sous chef who would be helping them out in terms of preparing the delicacies, in terms of cutting the vegetables, and uh, getting in more like a project manager who helps out the main chef or the key actor in delivering his goals of satisfying the taste buds of customers who are coming in. A chef in that movie will be a core, and he will have his altercations or difference of opinions either with the owner or with the his other colleagues in terms of in matters of taste, in matters of presentation, in matters of delays. Also, there could be a love angle to him as he is struggling with his own inner demons in terms of not meeting his own expectations or not meeting his dreams or not achieving his dreams. At the same time, I think it also sets the plot for him to come out of his inner demons and win against various odds in a competition, which is a new kind of a delicacy that he has to work on. It could be something more traditional, or it could be something which is more innovative, or it could be a mix of keeping the tradition but adding to it. So that's it for me. I think chef is all that. He is the center of the whole movie with all the plots laying around him. So that's it for me.
Oh, thank you. My goodness, the ideas translated into words and discussion of the atmosphere, the contemporary style and the conventional style, traditional style, everything was mixed. The mood, the setting, and all the things were there in that movie. And the instructive mechanism, impeccable. Thank you so much, Abhay. Now, next, let me pick the next speaker. Ashwin.
Human is there.
Sorry.
Human.
Human
followed by Sourav.
Hello.
Yeah, human. Your topic is mask.
Shall I start? Did you say the topic is mask?
Yes.
Okay. Oof, it's getting hot these days. And we have to go around wearing this thing which makes us feel even more sweaty. And but what to do? The reality is this at the moment, and so let's live with it. And the important, whatever challenges we face, is the way we deal with it. So let's choose one mask that has a good protection and also is not too sweaty, and let's go around and let's deal with it. And
It can be the face mask also.
And then we yes, a good addition to a mask could be to paint the face and be and have a very good looking a theater artist will do that in his work also. So a mask can mean many things. It can be used in a script, in a movie. It can be the masks which we need to wear nowadays when we go out. It can be for swimming, and the most beautiful usage would be when we go to the theater. It can be also what a thief would use when going out to do his robbery, which is what you did once in a theater play in school, where we had made masks for our actors who were acting the roles of thieves. And then one can get very creative. We had masks that were covering just the eyes. It was only symbolic to get the audience to feel that that these are robbers. And otherwise, there can be a full cover where we don't see anything of the person, just two holes for the eyes and nothing else. And yes. And there can be yeah, and I think that covers most usages of masks that I can think of.
Thank you so much. That is
Thank
an
you.
unmistakable variety in your work. There was health awareness. You got about the mask. So since we are having this uncertainty period of COVID, and you were fashionable, you included the fashion into the script, and overall it was a very best attempt. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, who else next?
Sourav is here next.
Who is it?
Toastmaster Sourav, yeah.
Sora, okay. Sora, your title is House at the End of the Street. House at the End of the Street.
Tick, tick, tick. I could almost hear my heartbeats as I started walking down that lane. I had to take a sudden detour on Columbus Avenue in San Francisco. There was a 6 feet tall man behind me. I could barely see his face. He had a long overcoat, and he was coming very close to me. I took a sudden right turn, hoping that I would hide from him. And I kept walking down that lane. I looked back, he was nowhere there. And I felt safe. Somehow I had to run for life, and I started running for life. I ran towards the end of the street, and I find him standing there. I turned back, I turned to the opposite direction, again back towards the Columbus Avenue, and again I see him standing there. My house was at the end of that street, of that same street where I took a right turn. And imagine my agony. I was not able to reach my house. A few steps away, there was a tall black man standing in front of me in a big black overcoat, 6 feet tall, looking extremely dangerous, and I was sweating and sweating and sweating, and I did not know what to do. Then I hit myself very hard on my head. I rolled over the side of the bed, and my mom came and said, "Grow up now. Stop tripping from your bed, you idiot." Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Wasn't afraid to go to the dark with this team, making an indelible impression on us with the shocking and surreal at the same time, soothing to the soul. Hailed one of the best horror movie ever. Thank you, Saurav. Thank you so much. Who else? Come on, guys. How about our VP?
I will volunteer.
Yeah, somebody said. Who else? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Neha.
Yeah, Sneha can go ahead.
Yeah, okay. For you, horrible boss. Horrible boss.
Timer, you can start now. Horrible boss. It is not an oxymoron. Horrible boss has been a reality to so many of us who've worked. So much so that this theme actually instills and brings out or evokes emotions that are definitely not euphoric. It brings still those bad memories that we all have associated with our managers who simply refuse to grow up, though they have grown through the ladder. Horrible boss can be you or me or people who we have all known. But what does it constitute to be a horrible boss? Is it because they always pick up the nitty gritties that you have really done well and yet push you towards perfection? Or is it that they mindlessly torture you with unwanted deadlines piling over there on an already exhaustive day? When you think of it, apart from all of this, is a horrible boss is our own perception, our own attitude towards life. We can be the horrible bosses of ourselves. And to name a few, anxiety, overthinking, all of these are horrible bosses because we let them boss over us. The same thing can be also interpreted with people outside of us. That is, we as human beings ourselves have horrible bosses that reside within us with our permission and sometimes without our permission. And there are people outside who also boss over us. The only solution to it, in my opinion, that I have felt with my experience is to really bring about the active perspection or perspective thoughts by introspecting as to and see where they're coming from. Our thoughts, which could be filled with anxiety, our overthinking, or that terrible boss who sits in the cabinet allowing you to asking you to work overload. That is what the only solution that you can do, and that is in your hands. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sneha, for bringing the reality and plus certain things, the etiquette and everything you mentioned. Thank you so much. And who else the next? Evaluator also can take part. Timer, want to give a try?
Yes, please.
Blind date.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Blind date.
Blind date.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really something. I'm really lost of thoughts, I should say. I give up. Sorry, I can't.
Okay, shall I give you some other topic?
Yeah, if that's okay.
Room number 101. It's a hotel room.
Got it. It was a midnight. I traveled from my hometown to a unknown city. Then I see I had lost the address. This really happened in my life. Those days there was no mobile phones to even contact my brother whom I actually came to see in the city. I lost his mobile number. I couldn't call him. There was no mobile phones. I was really in a very difficult situation. I took an auto rickshaw with just giving him the very brief address that I could recall from my memory. And he took me somewhere and he dropped me. However, without an accurate address, he could not really, guide me or drop me at the right place. Finally, I was just roaming around and looking for somebody who may help me or anything like that. But really, nobody came to my help. Somehow I had written my brother's number in some other place in one of my books in the bag. It was my student days. So I just pulled it out. I started dialing him up from a STD booth. However, nobody's picking the call also. And later, after some 10, 15 trials, somebody picked the call and he said, okay, your brother is away, but this is the address you can take down. And then I reached home. by walking myself, asking someone. That was really like how you can feel being shelterless or homeless just for a few hours in the night. It was really a horrifying experience, and how bad it could be. It was like a teacher for me as a real experience in life. Thank you. Over to you, Table Master.
Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you for that wonderful suspense story. And I know it is very tough to just make a story on on a room number, and a lot of thought will be going, but you managed to do that. And the last one. Anyone?
I think no one is volunteering. Probably we can move on to the next session if that is okay with you.
Sneha, I have a small request. The speech I will be delivering in the next meeting because I wasn't aware about delivering. I thought I had to perform it. So that is the one request.
I think.
Shall I go?
Can the experienced VPH help me out here? Is that can this be done in the sense that she has to give a speech accommodating all the table topics? Is it? That is what you're telling me?
What is the question? I did not get the question.
No, I have to summarize the whole speech from 5 to 7 minutes.
No. You don't have to summarize for 5 to 7 minutes. You have to just summarize for a minute is more than enough. 30 seconds to 1 minute to summarize the whole session. That's it.
That's it.
Yes.
And I think you're done with that. After the speech, you've been giving the articulation. So I think that is enough.
No, so that is one part. One part is after every speech, she has to give a summary, and then at the end, she has to give a total summary. But that is 30 seconds to 1 minute, not a 5 to 7 minute speech.
Yeah, that's what I got confused.
Just a 30 seconds to 1 minute, just a summary.
Yeah.
You can go ahead with this then.
Yeah, because after every speaker, I have to just say what I listen, what I grab from them. So the last one, I think, like Gaurav said, 1.5 minute and 30 seconds will be more than enough. Is it okay?
Yeah. So the timer can time for 30 seconds, green card, and probably by 1 minute they can show the yellow card. We'll skip the
Because in between, I just was going with that. That's why I thought.
No problem. Yeah. And I think you will be evaluated.
I think we should give at least 1 minute. 30 seconds will be too less for 5.
Yeah, 30 seconds will be the green card, and
green card, 1 minute will be the red card. We're just skipping the yellow card in between. That's it.
Okay.
Shall I?
Yeah, please start.
Oh my goodness, you guys were amazing. And I can very well understand that on the spot you're getting a topic, and as a script writer, it is too difficult to grab all the emotion into the movies. But I was astonished by your performance. Oh my goodness, that was remarkable. Each of the guys, they bring all the things into their movies, like the old-fashioned, the new, and the contemporary style, the conventional, the tradition, and everything. That was amazing. And the most interesting part was that the horror part was, we all love the horror movie. And I really appreciate Gaurav for having that such a wonderful, and the sound he made, the sound effect. Oh, really. The fearful apprehension was bomb blasting. And the chef, oh my goodness, everything, the taste was there. It was yummy. And there was a love triangle. Oh, love, like eat, pray, love. It reminded me of that movie. And Night at the Museum, oh my goodness. Even I can't stay in the museum the whole night, but I should take it very lightly. And I appreciate him to bring all those humor and horror at the same time. And last, and the interesting part was Sneha. And we all face the horrible boss. We all have a horrible boss, the devil in the office. But I really appreciate that she tried to portray everything, and also she reminds us the emotional intelligence that is an important fact we all should know, and who it may be, it depends upon us how to react to the external environment. And overall, it was amazing, and everything was included. And mask awareness, I think that he might have confused with the nowadays we wear the mask, but actually I was expecting the mask to be something comedy or something, but he bought it. In the end, he summarized everything, and he explained about the awareness, and second about the how we can rob, how the mask can be used, the face mask can be used to rob the bank. Amazing. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you so. Over to you, TM.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shaima. Let's give a round of applause and let's increase the fuel of this flight. We need a lot of energy for that. Great job. Well, and now our flight, we are moving to a very important location. That's the Knowledge Hub Part 2. Sometimes I wonder, when I have to evaluate someone, a lot of things comes into my mind. How do I evaluate? How do I break up my evaluation? And then I get confused. But today, the confusion is going to be over because we have someone who is a Toastmaster since 2018 and a lead with the TCS, worked in different capacities in Toastmasters like Sergeant at Arms, VP Education, President and Area Director. Currently, he is a VP Education for TCS Maitri Chevy Orators and LDP Coordinator for 2021-22. Personally an introvert, but loves to do home decor and free time cooking. Well, we have Toastmaster Ashwin, who is going to give an awesome education session on breaking down evaluation. Let's evaluate. Toastmaster Ashwin, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Okay. Well, let's evaluate. And as rightly said by the Toastmaster of the day, one of the first thing that comes in the mind of a person when you are said you are going to evaluate this particular speaker is that how shall I evaluate him? How many of you actually starts preparing for the evaluation even before you would have spoken or read even the speech title? How many of you do that? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the first thing that runs into your mind?
Pathway, as in checking which pathway, what is the objective by looking at the evaluation.
Okay, what is the objective of the speaker you are going to evaluate? What's the next thing that comes to your mind? You're not even spoken to the speaker. The VP head of, if you are going to a new club, the VP head has not even shared the evaluation guidelines. But what's the first thing that you're just being told that you're going to evaluate a speaker in my session? That's it. What's the first thing that runs into your mind then?
How is this speaker? Is he a very experienced Toastmaster or someone who has just joined the Toastmaster?
Shako, really? You're really going to start thinking about the speaker?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you what. Okay, yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Sneha, please go ahead.
So probably some of the basic aspects of evaluation like body language and voice intonations, those are some of the basic things that needs to be there in every speech. So if I don't have the level or the objectives at hand, I will probably refresh on those body language, vocal variety, these kind of aspects.
Okay, that was one answer I was looking forward to. Thanks, Neha. You brought that question out. Now, the question I have for that reply, which Sneha mentioned, is that the right thing to do? You have not spoken to the speaker. You have no guidelines, but you've already made up a template in your mind saying that the body language of that person has to be good. He probably should use a dramatization here and there, so on, so. The question here is that the right way to start off an evaluation?
Ashwin,
No,
I
I don't think
always
so.
have something, I always have a structure in mind. For me, I always want the speaker to feel valued. And so I always have a structure. I would always want to look for a feedback, some sort of thing that they can improve. And I would want to wrap up with something positive to leave them behind with. So I always go in with a structure in mind.
Okay, interesting point, Sonal. I take that one also. Okay, now before we move to the next part, I want to ask, what are the common phrases associated with evaluation in Toastmasters family? You would have heard of a lot of phrases, figure of speeches, which you would have said, this is what evaluation is, this is what evaluation is. What are the common things you guys would have heard? You can put it in the chat, or you can probably unmute and reply it out. To take the speech to the next level, very commonly used by almost every evaluator. I would say 80% of the evaluation says the moment you go to the recommendation, you say, take the speech to the next level. I have this certain points. Nice one, Sona. The positives and the highlights of his speech, a couple of recommendations. Lovely, lovely. What about breakfast of champions? I'm supposed to really sandwich. Reena, thanks a lot. I was waiting for this one too. Sandwich, breakfast of champions, so and so. Okay, now I'm going to recite 3 anecdotes or 3 short stories, and I want to take your thoughts on how this entire scene is playing out. Let's take the first story. The first story is happening early 2019. It's the area level valuation contest finals. Okay, the target speaker, he's coming on stage, he or she is coming on stage and starts to give a speech. It's a speech about universal brotherhood, but has a lot of anecdotes about Hindu-Muslim issues and riots and all those things. Now there's a young evaluator sitting in this crowd watching, and it's probably his first area level contest, and he's sitting there, he's listening to those entire content, and he's completely disinterested because this is not something he really wanted to listen to. This is not what he loves to hear in a day. And here's this. When his chance comes to evaluate this particular target speaker, it completely shows. He tries his best, trying to use those sweet words here and there, but it shows. This is the first story. Let's go to the next one. Late 2019, a club session. For people who are new Toastmaster, probably who has been a Toastmaster since a year, we had a new old educational program called as the competitive communication. Now, a speaker comes who gave the final speech of this particular module and is equal to our path breaker. That's what the closest I can say. This particular speaker has given tremendous amount of, I would say, one of the best speeches which that club has ever seen. And he comes to give his final speech. So there's a huge expectation by the entire crowd and even by the evaluator. He starts the speech and it's quite obvious he has not even prepared one bit. It completely shows. It's the final speech of that entire module, and he just, I would say, screw it up, or probably does a complete impromptu act which doesn't even looks good. The evaluator comes on stage and thrashes the speaker. He just looks at face and says, you know what? This is not the way you give a speech. And there's a pin drop silence in the entire club because no one ever thought an evaluator would do that to a speaker. The third story, it's a linkers meet, probably I would say late 2019. So I'm not remember. It's a linkers meet. A speaker is supposed to give his L2P1 leadership style speech, and he comes and he gives. It's a very interesting speech, to be very frank. Everyone was engrossed into it. People loved the humor he brought. But the evaluator noticed one simple thing. He didn't speak anything about leadership in that speech. He just went on and on with some kind of speech. He just went. It was quite obvious, probably he didn't even read the objectives. He just created a speech. He came and he gave it on that day. He comes on board, and this evaluator loves cricket. So he speaks, he gives a complete comparative between a cricket match and the speech. He talks about all the good things that happened as the fours and the sixers, the things probably he missed out on the objectives as the mistimed catches that would have mistimed moments where it ended as a catch, and so on and so on. At the end of the day, the evaluator completes the entire evaluation in such a way that even the speaker understood that, yes, maybe I should have been a bit more careful. I should have read the objectives and created a speech accordingly. He did it. He did it. Now let's come to the reality. I spoke about three simple stories, three simple anecdotes of speech evaluation. Tell me, what was the right style of evaluation here? You can be, anyone can be, like even I can be any
I
of the
missed the
speakers.
first one. Can you just quickly, Yadi, just
So the first one is an area contest. The speaker, the target speaker, talks about he wants to talk about universal brotherhood, but has anecdotes about Hindu Muslim rights and so on, which disinterest the speaker. He tries to sprinkle some positive words there, but it clearly shows in his body language that he's not happy with the speech. And the second is the club's speech, and the third one is the linkers one. So what do you think the third one, according to Sona? Okay. Anyone else has a
none of it. None of the three.
None of it. Okay. Nidhi, you are the evaluator today. Which approach would you choose today? I'm not going to scare Viper, but you can just mention.
I think the combination of all, because
Combination of all. Okay.
yeah, because every evaluation that you have elaborated over here has some of the good or bad aspect of it. So I guess the combination of all would make a better segment to present of what speaker is speaking about.
So tell me, what is the thing you liked about the first speaker then? First, second, third. What is the thing you would probably, if you are going to evaluate today, which other aspects you're going to take from each speaker and try today?
Okay. So I like about the second speaker, about the thing that he's very straight towards what he doesn't like it, being what the opinion of the other audience is. And the people, that shows a great gesture of the speaker at that moment. So he put his own opinion over here. So that point I like the most about that evaluator. And the first speech about the riots and all. So he has its own points and values over here. So that is the most, positive aspect over there about evaluating a person. And the third one, I missed a little while.
Okay, no worries. Thanks for speaking your mind. You said that there are three parts of it. Okay, now the end result of why I spoke about these are three stories which happened right in front of my eyes. And these are the three incidences that shaped my thoughts about how an evaluation should happen. All these three happened. Now I'm not gonna, we'll have a small game. I'll ask you which among the three was the evaluator, where I was the actual evaluator. I'm not gonna reveal until the end of this session. But the thing about each of these stories is each gave me a different thought process or a different aspect about how evaluation should be done. Let's take the first one. Disinterested. How do you approach a disinterested topic? It can be anything. It can be anything under the sun. You never know what the speaker is going to speak today, right? So how do you approach a disinterested topic? Second one was all about an objective which was very clear. You have an expectation set with the speaker, but he never met it anywhere close. So you trash that speaker. Should you trash that speaker? That's the question that comes out here. The third one was all about motivation. You knew the particular person has not led the objectives. He came, he's probably a very good speaker. But what is the thing you need to achieve today as an evaluator? Do you want to motivate him to go and check the objectives without him? Combine all these three questions with the things which we discussed right at the start, which was how do you start your day when you are being assigned the evaluator? You have a lot of things running in your mind. You need a template, you need a you need to know so and so things about the evaluation and etc etc. But the very simple question I will leave you all, which is the crux of my entire message or my entire knowledge which I want to share here, is what is that you want to achieve as an evaluator while standing at that stage? Do you want to improve yourself as an evaluator, or do you want to improve the person who just gave that speech in front of you? improve the person. Sneha, you're on mute, but I believe what you said was improve the person. When I do an evaluation, one of the very simple thing I do is try to improve the person in front of me. I do understand, yes, as an evaluator, I need to improve myself too. Definitely all these are there. That's the reason we think of this templates. But there's a one simple flaw when it goes to a template, when you decide that you have to look into body language, all these things, even before you would have seen that speech. Reason being, our brain is mentally conditioned to then focus on those things alone. You will never enjoy that speech. I may have one of the best speakers right in front of me. It's in one of the best analogies I can mention is what when Sourav mentioned, and when you are in the R counter, when you're the grammarian, he or she probably cannot, enjoy that education session because his role is to count the number of hours. The same mistake is something we do as a evaluator at times when we decide that this is what we are going to look. If I have already said that, yes, I need to focus on this person's body language today, trust me, he may give me the best humorous moments in the speech ever, but I will be more focused on how his hand went. One of the common recommendations which I often hear in the online forum, which I often don't understand why people give at times, is that why do you give the speech sitting? Why don't you give it standing? Standing makes it more easy and appealing. Is it really true? If you ask me, it isn't. If you have watched many of those many of the great sessions, Coronation was one of the finest example. We had Aditya Maheshwaran who conducted the entire 30-minute session sitting. He didn't stand, but wasn't effective. So when you bring out a recommendation, something like, okay, why don't you stand and give? Don't make it as a default recommendation. Think whether it's really needed. Think from the perspective of the fact that the speaker just spoke. Was it really convincing for you? Or was it something when he stands which can make it more appealing for you? So default recommendations. This is one thing which I'll bring out here. Think before you decide a recommendation for the person. Don't bring out saying that your hand was here. Probably the entire speech you didn't even looked at his hand, or probably it was probably at a moment you realize, okay, he or she is keeping this hand here. Did it really distract you? Did it really break the intent of the speaker? If it not, why are you giving that recommendation? Give a recommendation that really makes a difference in that speech. Now, recommendation is not asking the speaker go and repeat next time. No. Again, this is one of the most clinical mistakes I see in some of the budding evaluators. They say that, you know what, you can repeat the speech and give. Don't give it. Leave it to the VPA. As Saurav said, there is no mandate that a person has to repeat his speech. It's a call on the speaker. It's a call on the VPA probably, or anyone else who decides this, that speech has to get away. Your intent as evaluator will only remain one thing, which is very simple. Give your feedback on that particular speaker. Now, coming to the next part, template recommendations. Sandwich, one of the most commonly used template is the sandwich approach. Good, bad, or I would say improvement, good. I have a question here. Who should use a sandwich approach? Who should use? Their sandwich approach is very effective. I don't say that it's not a good approach. It is a very good approach. But who should use a sandwich approach? If you ask me, that answer goes to the new evaluators who have no clue what is evaluation. They're probably trying it for first time. You can ask them, start off like this, but don't make it as a mandate. Never, and this is a cue to the general evaluator also, never emphasize that, you know what, you could have gone the sandwich approach, this is the best approach. No, that demotivates an evaluator, especially an evaluator if someone is planning to, improve him as an evaluator. Don't give him saying that, go for a sandwich approach. Maybe you can recommend saying that, let's say if Nidhi is giving, sorry Nidhi, I'm not picking you for any other reason. If Nidhi is giving an evaluation and Sonal has to evaluate her, the G, at that moment, if Sonal feels that maybe Nidhi's structure was not right, or probably was going off, or it was not very clear for anyone to capture the points, in that case, Sonal can suggest, hey, Nidhi, you can go on for a sandwich approach, where you could have put up all the good ones in the start, maybe the recommendation in the middle, and then summarized it in the end. That would have been a very well weight. Think what is the intent behind following a grading. Templates are great. Even in a contest, I would say templates are something which has become very effective. But at the same time, what exactly matters is your intent. As an evaluator, when you give your feedback to the person, it literally shows a lot of maybe as an evaluator, I or you won't feel that, because we are, engrossed in the points that I need to tell this, I need to tell that. But for the speaker, it really shows. When you evaluate, think from the speaker's perspective. Now, even as there are two types of speakers. One, a speaker you would have seen grow, you would have seen growing in front of you. There would have been a speaker who had no clue. Will it make sense if you go and recommend asking him, why don't you do dramatization? Maybe the speech would have been much more better. Just before every evaluate, we all know how to evaluate, or we probably know how to bring the points. If you believe that I don't know how to evaluate, it's only that you don't know how to speak evaluate. The reason we have evaluation in Toastmasters, let me emphasize on that point again once, is that the reason we have evaluation in Toastmasters is to learn how you can give a feedback. It's not about, whether you motivate him, you increase his confidence and push. All those are ways of doing. If you saw a person give a very good speech, you don't really have to go and motivate him, because he knows how he is motivated to give a good speech. He is confidently saying something right. In that case, what you need to as an evaluator, your focus looks at, let's look at the part of whether he met the objectives. Is he talking what you're really wanting? If that is not there, bring blank. As Nidhi mentioned, be clear, be straight. It is right to be straight. There is nothing wrong in giving a pointer saying that this is, maybe the person didn't really give a very good speech. You didn't like it. It's okay as an evaluator if you want to express that out. But the way you express is more matter. You cannot go and say, I'm completely disappointed at you. That's wrong. Rather, you can say, I have seen, it's a known speaker, you can say, I have seen you in giving better speeches, but what happened today? Something missed out. Maybe you lacked preparation. That was one simple recommendation, or I would say the feedback that came from the G in that second story. The thrashing didn't seem right, but his intent was right. The speaker was an experienced speaker. He should have given a very good speech at that stage, but he thrashed, which was the wrong. So the G clearly mentioned one simple thing there. I understood your intent, but maybe you shouldn't have thrashed. You could have told him what exactly went wrong there. The first story, which was where my personal story, I didn't realize that I have to get emotional with the speaker. My role that day was just to be the evaluator. I had to see how the speaker is speaking, what is good, what is not. I don't have to get really, but maybe the speaker was so good enough to influence me. That's probably what happened. But how can I speak even in that kind of scenario? How can I express that maybe your point didn't resonate with me? Maybe you didn't do the right job to convince me with what you had to say. That should be the message out to the speaker, not the fact that I didn't like your speech. I don't agree to your speech. That's where the wrong thing. So what are the words or the phrases you use as evaluator comes very nicely. Thanks, Ganesh, for the right. What are the phrases that has to be used? That is the key point that you need to focus as evaluator. Forget about all the templates and all the thing. In a very crisp manner, if I have to say, evaluation is all about the mindset you are going to give on that stage. That's the very simplest way of putting this whole thing together. What is the mindset? Do you want to motivate the speaker? Do you want to give your feedback to the speaker? Or at the end of the day, you want to give a peace of mind saying that maybe you believe this, but it didn't resonate with me. It can be as simple as that, but what are the words you want to bring there? That's what evaluation is all about. And yes, the objectives are there for you to help there. So if I have to summarize, first thing, take a pause. When you're given the role of evaluator, take a very simple pause. Think from the perspective that you don't know the speaker also. Wait until you hear the speech. Maybe once you get your evaluation objectives, take a moment, read it, understand this is the objective, but don't start planning that I will focus on his body language, I'll focus on his structure. No, that will alter your focus, or concentrate your focus on those things only. You will miss out the other things he's trying to bring there. So those are a few things which I had in my mind. I know it's red, but I'll take probably one question or two with the permission from the TMOD.
Yeah, please.
Ashwin, I have a question. So there was this one particular person who spoke a speech which is similar to your third scenario. The speech was an excellent speech, but it did not meet the objectives. how is it within my right to ask to recommend to the person to redo the speech?
If the objective is not met, in that case, yes, as an evaluator, you can put that out as a recommendation, not just to the speaker, also the VP of that particular person, saying that this was the objective. He has not come anywhere close. So I believe this has to be repeated. But do you really have to bring it out in the speech is something I'm going to give it to you, because if you have other aspects to cover. So now there are two parts to this, Sunil. One, you have to convince the speaker that this is wrong. So that is where the third scenario was all about. You have to convince them that yes, your objective was to speak on leadership styles. You didn't talk about leaders today or anything regarding leadership. You were talking about something else. So that aspect, when you bring, then it becomes clear. And that's the reason why we also call the evaluators right at the start, even before the speakers begins, to read out the objective, to make it very clear. Now there is a responsibility you also have. You don't have to just read it and go. You can make it very clear, even in your own words, saying that this is what the objective of this particular speaker is. You have 1 minute or probably 30 seconds based on every club agenda, but in that 30 seconds or 1 minute, you can make it clear with the audience, saying that gives you the credibility to tell the speaker later on, saying that yes, did you meet the objective or not? Objectives, yes, in that scenario, we do have the right to tell it out to the speaker that, you know what, you didn't meet the objective. This is not what was intended from this project.
But you can't recommend them to repeat the speech, right? During the evaluation, you can't say them to repeat it.
Not a recommended way of putting it out. Again, it's all about how the club believes it or how the members believe. Again, Toastmasters never mentioned saying that, you have the right to bringing out on the stage. Some clubs believe this is right. They feel that, okay, it's okay to rightly say it out. So maybe you have an evaluator coming from such a club. They may openly say it out. You know what? This was the objective. You didn't meet. I believe you need to repeat it. Simple as that. But there are clubs who believe that is not how it should go. One of the things which I've noticed in Toastmasters is like the freedom to implement the way the culture has to grow there. Now it's all about a culture. Speakers then will have a culture. TCS Matrix Evaluators will have a culture. The Gabbies will have a different culture. If you try to merge all the cultures, it may create chaos. But when you try to respect the other culture, it's fine. Again, as Mudassir, your question was like whether do you really have to recommend it in on stage? I would say don't. But if it's very obvious, like for example, third example it was about leadership. The evaluator has mentioned that you have to speak about leadership. And if the speaker has not spoken anything about the leadership, it is out and open for everyone to notice that this is not done. So even for an evaluator, it's not the right thing if you come and say that, yeah, it's all fine, you can go to your next speech. No, in that case, that's a completely disregard to the objectives that was highlighted in the Toastmasters on the Pathways manual. So it's okay in such scenarios, but if it is like one of the aspect was missed or second aspect was missed, in that case, I would say leave it to the evaluator's discretion. Do you want to bring it out that, okay, the person has to repeat or not?
Ashwin, I have a question.
Yes, Neha.
So this is just a scenario where your target speaker is extremely good. You don't have such recommendations to give out. In cases like that, when the speaker is really experienced and they are meeting the objectives and it's been a really well structured speech, then where do you see the role of an evaluator? What do you think in such cases where the positives or the pros outweigh the cons, that you can feel that, there is nothing that I can add as an evaluator that really uplifts or helps them grow? In such cases, where as an evaluator should we stand and what should we be doing?
In that scenario, the one of the best things you can do is not to decide I need a pro and a con from this person. I would say the best way to evaluate any speaker any time in the day is not to start thinking what is his pros, what is his cons. Forget about it. Sit, enjoy it. Naturally, as an evaluator, when you listen to a speaker, you will find some places where you felt this probably was not right. That is the con. That is your default con as a speaker, which he or she has not met up. So there you can mention, saying that, okay, this particular aspect where you bought, I didn't connect with it. Maybe because you didn't have the right hand gestures. Maybe a hand gesture would have done well. Then it becomes a natural recommendation. But instead, if you jump in and say that, okay, this person didn't have any con, and you just notice that person was keeping his hand here, and then decide I'm going to give that as a recommendation, that doesn't look good. I mean, maybe for the sake of keeping it as a con and a pro weightage, it looks, but I never believe that's the right way of it. If the person has done a fabulous job, let's give the credits to him. Let's bring it out on the crowd and say, you know what, that was one of the best features. I couldn't find any cons with you. This is my person. And the one thing you can say, this is my personal observation. I couldn't find out. Maybe Sonal may find. Maybe Sonal in her GE report, she may say that, you know what, this one thing could have been a better option. That thing is there. That's fine. But if you never could find out, great. And if Sonal gives such a feedback, then you can say, okay, there's something more I can observe the next time. That's the easiest way you can put it.
Right. Thank you so much, Ashwin. So, I would like to invite everyone for such an amazing session this was. Let's give a round of applause for Toastmaster Ashwin. A lot of confusion gets cleared now, actually, Ashwin, because evaluation is one of the complex role where you have to give an evaluation, but at the same time, seeing that the evaluation is effective. Yet, we try not to hurt the speaker's sensitivity also. Keeping that in mind, lots of great inputs that you have given in this session. Hats off to you, Ashwin. Thank you so much. Now, with that, and finally, we land in our fifth and the final destination for the day. And this popular place is called the Land of Evaluation, which Ashwin talks about. And we have now a wonderful team of evaluators and the TAC team waiting outside to evaluate this journey. With that, let me welcome the flight instructor of the day or the general evaluator, Toastmaster Sunil, for the fifth destination. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sankhya. I'm glad that somebody said it's a wonderful place to be in, because it's not easy to be an evaluator, especially the general evaluator. So now I would first go into the individual evaluation of the speaker and then come to my general evaluation. So our first speaker was Toastmaster Weber, and to evaluate his speech, we have Toastmaster Nidhi. Toastmaster Nidhi, can we please have your evaluation?
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonal. So Toastmaster Ashwin has already set the bars high for all of us, especially for the evaluators today. But here comes my evaluation for WebHub. It is L1P2 speech for WebHub. And according to that speech, the bright side of the speech I will take first. So it is more about the role taker, as he has dressed for the mom role. So that is really nice to change your role from your perspective to your mom role. So that is a really nice aspect. The second thing is the hand gestures. So you, during whole of your speech, you have used your hands very nicely to show all the gestures that you are speaking about. Later on, I want to take it that the speech, the fiction speech or the speech that you have delivered has some emotional attachment. So you have delivered it with the good voice modulation about all the emotions that you have delivered through that speech. So that is a really another nice aspect of the same. And also the objective. So your objective of your speech is appropriate as per what you have said earlier. So that is also a really nice aspect of the same. Taking to a second part of your evaluation is like what you could have improved later on. So points that I have think that you should work on is when you are asking questions, when you are asking audience questions, like what do you think about it, then you should give some state of pause, or you should look on the screen on that whether the audience is responding or not. Quickly, you should not answer what you are asking, because audience might not know that you will wait for them or say at that particular aspect. So you should wait a little for the audience to speak. So that is one thing you should work on. Second is, I found that while delivering a speech, there was little fumbling of words. So you can take care of that fumbling thing, and it will like make more impact on the same. First thing, and the other thing that I said, an appreciation as a role taker, as a mom, you have taken different roles. So that is a nice thing, but while you're taking a role, my opinion is that you can change your voice modulation or something, so it will provide more impact to the audience whom you are delivering, because that will make more sense as when you're delivering it. So people will able to know that you have changed from one aspect to another aspect. So that will give more a better impression of the thing. And yes, I think that is I think this is a really nice speech you have delivered. And for me as well, it is like a Eurofic moment for as an evaluator. So thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Suman.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nidhi. Toastmaster Weber, I firstly would like to congratulate you, because it takes a lot from one to pour out such a personal message. I like the core of your message, because to pour your heart out is not easy, and you did it wonderfully. I also like the fact that you had dialogues in your speech, which improves the impact. And I like the core message of your speech. Like Toastmaster Nidhi pointed, I think you engage the audience with questions, which I think is a very, very good way to have to deliver a speech. But I think you could have paused. And I am going to take a view which is not in agreement with Toastmaster Nidhi's, and I don't know, maybe Ashwin's also. The clasp hands. The clasped hands, I thought, was a little jarring, because it's a sign of nervousness. Clasped hands, I wouldn't recommend anybody to have clasped hands while delivering your speech. Only if it is a part of your script, then you can use it. So the clasped hands, and I did think there was more scope for the use of vocal variety, because it was an emotional speech. It had, a lot of scope for it. It had a lot of emotions. So you did go low. You can be more euphoric. So I think there could be more use of vocal variety. And otherwise, I thought it was a brilliant effort, and I really enjoyed your speech. And the only thing that I have for you is thank you. Thank you. Many people say this. At the end of a speech, you say thank you. I would recommend all speakers, role takers, don't say thank you, because you are leaving us behind with a message. You are doing us a favor. So there's no necessity for a speaker to say thank you at the end of the speech. Otherwise, brilliant attempt. So with this, I would like to move on to my general evaluation. The meeting started at exactly 11:01. I think the 1 minute delay was because I was not able to log in at the appropriate time. So my apologies for that. And Toastmaster Kajal started the meeting. She started on a very high note. She set the ground rules. She said it's all right to speak about sex, politics, religion, and to be mindful of other people's sentiments and sensitivities. And I think she did a brilliant job in enumerating all this. She did her job. She did it wonderfully. The only recommendation I have for Toastmaster Kajal is, I liked it. I liked your demeanor. I liked everything about you. I think you can work on your energy, because you set the tone for the meeting. So I think you can be a little more energetic than you already are. But otherwise, I thought it was a very good attempt. Can we have a huge round of applause for our Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Kajal? The power of the lectern was then passed on to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Sneha. Toastmaster Sneha, again, spoke about the theme of the day. She did her job. She did it wonderfully. But then here I'm facing a little bit of confusion. I'm not sure if it is the TMOD or the presiding officer who speaks about the movement. As far as my knowledge goes, I think it is the TMOD who speaks about the Toastmasters movement. I don't know what practice is followed in the speakers then, but in the other club that I am a member of, it is usually the TMOD who speaks about the movement. And I think Toastmaster Sneha could have taken the introduction of the guest. I think it was done before the meeting started, but after the meeting started, I think she could have taken the introduction of the guest, limited to 30 seconds introduction. She could have done that. That's the only recommendation I have for Toastmaster Sneha. Can we have a huge round of applause for our presiding officer, Toastmaster Sneha, who then passed on the baton to our TMOD Toastmaster Sankhya. As we know, Sankhya is a very senior Toastmaster. He did his job. What really gave me an effect that I was traveling to a different destination and I was on board was the dynamic background that he had, which matched the theme of the day. I saw many people doing that, Toastmaster Sourav, our presiding officer, even the timer. And really, I should have done that myself, but I didn't do it. My apologies again. But the dynamic background did add more effectiveness, more impact to the role that Toastmaster Sankhya carried out today. The only thing that I have, so Toastmaster Sankhya is high on energy, very creative. The only recommendation that I have for Toastmaster Sankhya is when you are introducing a speaker, first we could ask the evaluator to lay down the guidelines of the project and then mention the introduction of the speaker and then disclose the name of the speaker. So because you're already saying Toastmaster Shaima and will be evaluated by Toastmaster Mudasir, so you let the cat out of the bag. So I would recommend you to keep the suspense, the intrigue till the end of the introduction, because then it adds to the euphoria. That's the only feedback that I have for Toastmaster Sankhya. Can we have a huge round of applause for the TMOD Toastmaster Sankhya? And then we had our first educational session by Toastmaster Sourav Dutta. Sir, I don't think I have the experience to be evaluating your educational session. I was just a bystander. I was just experiencing it. I like the fact that you were giving practical examples. You were saying Toastmaster Sonal, Toastmaster Nidhi, Toastmaster Sankhya. So, I could relate to it because you gave us these practical examples. I was able to relate to what you were saying. You engaged the audience by asking us questions, waited for us, gave a pause, waited for us to answer. I think very well conducted. You were very high on energy. And coming to what I loved about your educational session was the fact that you sprinkled it with humor. Kangana Ranaut, and then you said it with a poker face. I would have laughed. I laugh at my own joke. You said Kangana, and you had a poker face. I didn't know whether to laugh or to be serious. It takes great experience to pull off a joke like that and to keep a poker face like nothing had just happened. So I think that was the highlight. A lot to learn. Absolutely no recommendations because I don't think I have the experience to evaluate a session like yours. Can we have a huge round of applause for Toastmaster Sourav Dutta for conducting such an exemplary session? And okay, Toastmaster Sneha wants to know, Toastmaster Sneha, I can take the report of the R counter and grammarian later, but if we want, just for the sake of voting, I can take the report of the timer, just to see who qualifies.
Sonal, I have to evaluate TTM also. My evaluation is remaining.
Who's it?
Before we go into this tag team.
Mudasir, yes.
Yes, but TTM came after the session.
No, but we have to evaluate her also. It was a project.
Yes, but I haven't yet come there because I was still in Toastmaster Sourav Datta's.
No. I have to give evaluation to her and then you will evaluate me.
Yes, I know that. I haven't yet reached that. I know. I'm aware of that.
Okay.
No issues, Sonal, regarding that. We don't have any voting because it's a special session. So
okay, we don't have voting. So then I can take the report later.
Yes.
Yes. Then we had our table topic session, which was conducted by Toastmaster Shaima. And to evaluate that session, we have Toastmaster Mudasir.
Thank you, General Evaluator Sonal. Script. What a wonderful table topic session by Toastmaster Shaima. And the topics were really great. You pick out some of the very favorite movies like Night at the Museum, Chef, Mask, House at the End of the Street, Horrible Bosses, Blind Date, and you asked people to nominate themselves and come forward to give a speech. For me, it was a very wonderful table topic session. Shaima, I have divided your evaluation into two parts. First, I will talk about one of the highlights of your speech, and then we'll come towards the improvement points. The highlights of your speech. Your speech, the objective was about active listening. When we talk about active listening, the listening doesn't only happen from your ears, you also listen from your entire body. So Shaima, the very best part of your speech was that you maintained a smile throughout your entire speech. So whenever a person was coming over to speak and he was looking at your face and you were smiling, it was giving them an encouragement to speak further. So this was one of the best highlight of your speech. Second, you articulated each and every topic after each speech so that we as a listener also get a flavor of what has happened, and then you move forward to the next topic. As an improvement point, I will say that your topics were really good. but I would have encouraged you to connect your topic with the meeting theme. So it is generally recommended to connect the TTM topic with the meeting theme. It is not always necessary, but if you have done that, it would be really good. Also, there was no link between different topics. So when you were articulating one topic, there was a sudden break and then you were going to other topic. There was not a smooth flow from one topic to another topic. So if you have find out all the topic with a similar theme, then connecting one topic to another topic would have been really easy, and the articulation would also been very fruitful. Again, going back to the body gestures, as I've told you, active your ears, it's also about your body. You maintained a really good smile throughout your speech, but also you should have nodded whenever you are hearing good point from a speaker, so that it gives them an encouragement to talk forward. Also, you should have clapped after the person has spoken, so that it brings a kind of a conclusion to the speech. Yeah, I also missed out one more important point. Yeah, active listening is also. So I have seen that in between when Dhyam was speaking about the mask and he was lost on words. So you fed him the word face mask and then he moved forward with that word. So it was also a really good point. I like that you did that to encourage your speaker. Overall, your entire table topic was very, very fruitful. We learned a lot. The topics were really nice. We were all able to connect with those topics. The theme was good, script, and only I will ask you to improve on your active listening part, give more encouragement to the speaker, clap after each speech, so that it brings more joy to the speaker, and you can bring a more flavor to your articulation. That's all I have to say. Over to you, G.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mudasir. Yes, I concur with all the points that you mentioned, but one thing that I say, it's not necessary that all the topics need to be in alignment with the theme of the day. You can give around 50%, you can come up with 50%. There is no hard and fast rule that all the topics have to be in tune with the theme of the day. So the table topic master is free to select whatever topics, but around 50%, I would recommend to keep it in tune with the theme of the day. And I think Toastmaster Shaima did come up with great rejoinders and was giving encouragement to the speakers like she normally does by nodding her head. Yes, she could have clapped, and I think the smile, as we all know, she smiles well, and it is great impetus and encouragement to the speaker. And I'm not sure about this. The only recommendation that I have for Toastmaster Shaima is, I'm not very sure because there was a procession going on near my house, so there were a lot of drum beats. I couldn't hear. I'm not sure if she explained what the table topic session was. Now, I'm not sure if this happened or not. And the timing, because this, I don't know if this happened or not, because the procession I couldn't hear. And that's the only recommendation, if she hasn't done that, to briefly explain what the session is about and the timings. And you can also ask the timer to demonstrate the cards. And otherwise, the only thing is, I don't know, but in my, as far as if memory serves me right, Toastmasters, I would recommend not to use casual words like guys, because it is an educational setting. So, it takes away the seriousness of the session. When you say, thank you guys, thank you members, thank you for your participation, because it's a formal setting in my opinion. Otherwise, I thought it was a great session. Can we have a huge round of applause for our table topic master, Toastmaster Shaima, and our evaluator, Toastmaster Mudasir. And then we had our second educational session by Toastmaster Ashwin, who always has a very pleasant disposition. I don't have any recommendations to offer because it was a huge learning. I was more of a participant than the general evaluator. I have nothing to add. I thought it was a beautifully conducted session. As always, he's open to question. He's a very pleasant personality, a very presentable speaker, speaking from experience. And it was a huge learning for me, and I'm sure for all of you. And that's really about today's session. And Well, now I would like to take the report from the tag team. Can the timer just tell us who qualified, who did not qualify because of the paucity of time?
Yeah, so can I share my screen? That will be quicker. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Vaibhav prepared speech was 5 minutes 29 seconds qualified, and I'm not aware if the TTM summary has to be within some time. It took 2 minutes 41, but we spoke only about 1 minute or so was the requirement. And on the table topics, except for Duman, everybody else is qualified. And in evaluators, Nidhi is 3 minutes 21 within time, and Mudassir is 3 minutes 39 over 9 seconds.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ganesh. And can we have the report from the counter, Toastmaster Lavanya?
Yes, I will be presenting my counter report by sharing my screen. Can I get a confirmation if it's visible?
Yes.
The counter report for today looks like this. I will not be reading out everything because I've shared my screen, and I will also be sharing a copy of this in the guest group and in the chat in the Zoom call. But to go over it and analyze what looks like it, I'll start with all the good ones. Toastmaster Shaima, the table topics master, when she spoke after all the speeches, she spoke for, I'm guessing, around a minute. And there were a lot of planned pauses in that speech and did not have a lot of CRPF there, which made it sound very crisp and clear. Toastmaster Sourav, another point of applauding his speech is he had good use of pauses, which reduced the number of CRPF in his speech. And this is when he took up table topics, not the education session. In general, looking over the report, we see a lot of ums, ers, and the use of and. So where and was used a lot was mostly as a conjunction instead of stopping a sentence after when it ends. 2 or 3 sentences were added together by saying and then another sentence and another sentence, and that kept going. Instead, take pauses, take breaks, end the sentence, and begin the next one. So this number of ands would reduce. So and were also popularly used in the meeting, and taking a pause instead would help there. That is all I have for my report. So I will be sharing this, like I said, in the chat and in the guest group as well. Thank you, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lavanya, for that very elaborate report. I have a lot of work that needs to be done from my end. And finally, the grammarian, Toastmaster Kajal, can you please show your report with us?
Yes. So at the beginning, Sankhya have shared about the Guru Purnima as the thoughts he shared about the release in thoughts, and the good uses of words is used by epiphany, profound, bloated, steel thunder, delicacy, impactable, prinkle, emphasis, credibility. There are so many good uses of the words. And the word of the day is whose number of word of the use asked. Euphoria is used by Saurabh as to expressing the roles of tag teams, and euphoric is used by Sneha to horrible boss to explaining that. And the Nidhi and the Shonal have used to in the evaluation speech to euphoric. And the wrong uses of the grammar is on the one is placed at the one, and happiness life is happy life, and some wrong pronunciations for actress and robust and phased. So this is my grammarian report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kajal. I would just recommend you to say good usages, not so good usages. Wrong is a very strong word.
Okay.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Thank you, Toastmaster Kajal. And with that, I come to the end of the general evaluation session. See, there's one thing that I say, and I'm saying this in the capacity of the general evaluator. There was a little bit of confusion in the table topic session where, the master did not know what, and they were asking the VP education. I think this can be done beforehand because it breaks the decorum of the meeting. So if we are mindful of that, these are, unintentional things that happen, but if we can keep this in mind, just to make sure the quality of the meeting does not drop. Otherwise, I thought it was a brilliant session, and thank you for having me as your general evaluator. And I would like to pass on the power of the lectern back to the TMOD.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sunal. Give you a round of applause for the awesome evaluation which has been done by Toastmaster Sunal and the entire TAC team and the evaluators. With that, I would like to invite our presiding officer for the day, Toastmaster Sneha, to and pass on the baton to her. Toastmaster Sneha, you're on mute.
Thank you for letting me know. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Shankho. I have nothing much to add. We have already exceeded the time. So I would just like to take a moment to thank all of you. It was a beautiful session filled with such great knowledge. Like I mentioned, it was just a beautiful tribute to what Guru Purnima was yesterday, better late than never. I would request all of you to please switch on your video. And if we can, just show the heart reaction from the Zoom feature so that we can capture and this memory can be digitally cemented. Yes, please keep using the feature so that, and may I request our president of speakers then, Shankho, to kindly take a picture.
Yeah, we'll just take 5 seconds. Just getting everyone to switch on the video quickly. Sunal, if possible, Lavanya, Deepika, Rina, if possible. Okay, so on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and cheers. Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will just give a moment and keep the floor open for anyone to give their feedback. As an audience, if you have anything to let us know, please go ahead. Okay. I'll just wait for a couple more seconds. Great. I do believe a lot of things has already been shared, and thank you very much for attending and making time. Let us close the session meeting number 242, which definitely was welcome aboard to flight. We definitely flew to different locations. We traveled and gained a lot of insights. With this, let me close the session officially, and thank you everyone. Have a great rest of the day and a great week that's going to come ahead.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For the great session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.